What's up, guys? It's our wrestling podcast coming back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Just Total Package and Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, Demolition Revisited. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And for video, check us out on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. And also look to your left for several other options that Jess has put up for you.
Hey, little Desi, your mommy home.
And please give Jess a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019.
No, fuck off.
Why are we doing Revisited Demolition?
This is one of those topics that I wish we didn't already do a legacy on, and we did. We've already done the Legacy of Demolition, but Demolition just recently was announced they will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2026. Super deserving. It's about fucking time. I get it. There was a multi-concussion lawsuit that a bunch of ex-wrestlers jumped on. I don't know if one or both of them jumped on it. One or both did. I think both did. And that was really the reason why Vince is like, now! Like, for a long time. And then now they've settled, I believe they settled the lawsuit. It might have been thrown out. I can't remember what the ultimate result was. And now that Triple H is there, they signed Demolition last year to a Legends contract. But they told a funny story that last year when it was announced that they signed a Legends contract, Ric Flair called them. He's like, congratulations on the Hall of Fame. And they're like, okay, no. We just announced that we signed a Legends deal, which is the first step usually when we see that. So we thought that they were going to be put in last year, but the natural disasters were instead. So we were like, what the fuck? And then so this last year, it's like Demolition better fucking get put in. And they are. And it's awesome. And so I have done this. We've done this with a couple other wrestlers too, where we revisit the legacies. And that's what we're doing. We've already done the legacy. We did the Demolition legacy, by the way, when we were still audio only, when we were not video yet. So
it was a little bit ago.
So I wanted to freeform, and we will revisit the Legacy of Demolition. Talk about our thoughts, our fond memories of them, or whatever. We were talking on Unscripted, where we kind of covered the whole news thing of Demolition getting put in, and I never thought of them as a Road Warrior ripoff because I didn't watch Crockett like that much back then. Joe did introduce me to Crockett like in the late 80s and early 90s, but I didn't start watching until it became WCW in 91, which they'd already been bought for a few years by Turner. So I never really watched Crockett when I became a WWF fan, which was like the late 80s. I just knew WWF. I knew other promotions existed. Craig and I and Dave and Joe always share. We got Pro Wrestling Illustrated and The Wrestler and all that stuff. And so we knew of Ric Flair and Crockett and those people, but we didn't really see them until they crossed over and went to the WWF. Then we're like, oh, I know Ron Garvin. I know Dusty Rhodes. Like, I know all of this. So I didn't start watching WCW till 91.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I didn't really catch.
I saw them in PWI.
Yeah, I didn't really catch Road Warrior Fever. So to me, Demolition was the original. I know they're not. Calm down. Like, for wrestling fans out there who are like, what the fuck? Like, I get Road Warriors were around since the early...
not everybody had cable, assholes. Right. Some of us were poor.
So, yeah. So, I just watched WWF, syndicated television, Saturday and Sunday morning, Wrestling Challenge and Superstars. And, so, yeah, Demolition to me was my face-painted guys. That's who they were to us.
And even on top of that,
I know what you're going to say, Dave. It doesn't matter. If you compare them together, Demolition carved their own path. They were awesome. Like, so go ahead.
100%.
I love Demolition.
Well, yeah. But even on top of that, like, they didn't even, after makeup, that was really the only thing that they were alike on to what you were just delving into. Axe and Smash were way better workers. They built it from the ground up. The Road Warriors, when they came out, did they get a bigger pop? Absolutely. I mean, but they were larger than life. But when you look at the actual talent run in there, Demolition was way more talented, worked better, put more people over. It wasn't just about going in there and the Steiners did very similar stuff. They just went in there and fucking wrecked people. You know what I mean? They didn't really put too many people over. Demolition did a much better job of kind of following the formula and putting the right people over, doing it when it mattered. Like you said, the first tag team to tie the Wild Samoans for 3 separate WWE Tag Team Championships. They were huge, but I saw them as like just these snug, hard working guys that kind of kept most of it on the floor. Like, they weren't doing a ton of high spots. and they grind it out. And I loved it when it's a very weird thing, but when they would just get together and they would literally just double axe handle people to the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
Until
you
they
would
couldn't
see
get
the
up,
welts
yeah.
on the prelims backs. Like when they would get up, you would see the hammer marks on their back, and you're like, Jesus, these guys.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved everything about that with Demolition. But the one thing that cracks me up, I don't know if you guys remember. Do you remember Dodgeball, A True Underdog Story? You remember Dodgeball?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When they got the wrong uniforms, I guarantee you, anybody who watched wrestling in the 80s and 90s, as soon as they came out with that bondage gear, I'm like, that's Demolition.
It's Demolition, yeah.
Because that's what they wore. They wore bondage gear. Nobody even thinks about that, but they wore bondage gear.
Yeah.
They didn't have face paint with tights on like the Road Warriors. They were completely different in my opinion. And I know what Vince was going for, but they were not the same. They were completely different in work rate. They were completely different in attire. They cut better promos. They did everything better, honestly. And I love the Road Warriors.
Axe's voice, sorry, I know you're trying to jump in, Craig. Axe's voice was so unique. Like Smash was like a normal guy. Like if one of us were like, I'm really mean. Like, and I'm not saying that to shit on Smash at all, but Axe could do the, stuff. Like he did this really amazing deep voice where I was like,
so
that's
guttural,
badass, dude. Yeah, that's awesome.
He smoked 3 packs a day for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it helped.
One more week, and Donald he's imported a Japanese slot machine. It looks just like Fuji. All you gotta do is put a coin in his mouth, you hit him in the stomach, you pull both arms down, the eyeballs spin around, and I'm gonna knock him out. Fuji dudes, your men better be ready, because you know we are. You're gonna be standing in the middle of the ring, Barbarian on one end, the Warlord on the other. When we throw you together, you know what you got? You got 3 stooges, and then Axe and Smash. We knocked your stinking teeth out!
Whether or not they deserve those comparisons, to the Road Warriors, the comparisons kind of were there. And there was a lot that you kind of look at. Like, it's typical Vince, right? It's just like so many gimmicks slap face paint on them and some form of spikes, which end up looking like bondage gear. But it's a testament to those guys that, like, they won over everybody. It's like it could have gone south 1,000 different ways very early, but whether it's like both the machine,
Craig, I think I will let you continue on, but I think that is probably the most poignant point you can make. Demolition was so fucking close to failing. It could have easily just been a fart in church and everyone going, that's not the Road Warriors, but they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, go on. But that really is like the core of Demolition, is what you're saying. It really could have gone bad.
It didn't take long for the comparisons to kind of stop. Like even if it was there in the beginning, and I don't know if really had dirt sheets back in '89, but you definitely saw the magazines, and they would make comparisons there. But people said it, and you could point to a lot of factors. But I think it did not take long for them to earn their keep and to earn their reputation as being completely separate, forging their own path and being like.
I am glad that you mentioned, that kind of the internet and the early infancy. So I dispute this to this day. The original Demolition was Randy Coley, who used to be one of the Moondogs. There was a tag team called the Moondogs where they had gray hair and it was kind of long gray bushy beards. So Randy shaved all of his shit, shaved his head down to a buzz cut like a number 2 or number 3, shaved his beard off. He was the original Smash. And him and Bill Eadie, who is Axe, who used to be the mass superstar. Bill Eadie had a Hall of Fame career, by the way, before he became Axe. People don't talk about that. So they said that they replaced Randy because people started chanting Moondogs. There was no fucking internet back then. Nobody knew when one of the Moondogs shaved their beard and their hair. No fucking member of the crowd's like, that's a Moondog. No one said that. But to this day, it bothers me in every fucking documentary and everything. They're like, the crowd was actually chanting Moondog at him. I'm like, no, they fucking weren't. Like, you act like there was internet back then. There was not. Nobody knew that was Moondog Spot. Nobody fucking knew that.
Sounds like a Mandela.
It didn't mesh. They just didn't mesh together. If you watch their first loop that they were in, they did not mesh together. They were almost the same. Like they had the same styles. And then something happened with Randy. I'm sure he made Vince irritated. And then Vince is like, get the fuck out of here. And then they hired Smash, who was over in Crockett, who was like one of the, they had this Russian family over there of like Ivan Koloff, Nikita. Smash was I don't remember what Smash was. But he was like a Russian. He was a Russian, like over in Crockett. And then when he came over, they're like, "You're gonna be fucking Smash." And he's like, "All right." Like, and so he was the original Smash, like, or not the, sorry, he was the second Smash after Randy was let go.
Right.
So, and thank goodness, like that it was Axe and Smash, the ones we ended up with Barry Darso and Bill Eadie. Like, thank goodness it was them because they are Demolition. I don't think that they would have lasted if Randy stayed and with Bill Eadie. I don't know if it would have been the same Demolition.
And they fell.
Music certainly is not anything at all like we'll hear from Aretha Franklin. When Aretha starts singing America the Beautiful as only she can to start off things in WrestleMania. Well, I'm going to enjoy that. But cover. And an easy 3 count. There's your favorite theme song again, McMahon. Here are your winners, Demolition.
And they kind of started to go in the downhill and fell apart when it wasn't them too. For various reasons.
Crusher Khrushchev.
Yes, I should have remembered that.
K's.
He was Crusher Khrushchev. He was part of the Russian family in Crockett.
He was a Soviet sympathizer.
Yeah. He would then be Repo Man. He would be like Knuckleball, or he was one of the sports gimmicks for a while. Like Barry Darso was a mainstay.
Well, we also talk about the Masked Superstar, Bill Eadie being the Masked Superstar before. After Demolition, Smash became the Blacktop Bully, Repo fucking Man. All these other great, like he was in WCW as a few different characters, and both of them had really respectable singles careers, but I'm really glad that they both ended up becoming the Demolition that really should be honored in the Hall of Fame.
And I think not enough credit actually goes to, because it is the whole package, right? And they are pulling 98% of the weight. But like, would they be the same without that song? Like that.
That
here
song
comes the
was
axe,
awesome.
Here comes the smash.
They needed Mr. Fuji in the beginning, by the way, too. And a lot of people, I know they'll mention Mr. Fuji in their Hall of Fame acceptance speech, which they should. Mr. Fuji was a huge part of them becoming this evil force or whatever. Like, I mean, they were a spectacle, but Fuji, when they were heels, was super fucking important. That fucking cane, that motherfucker in his cane, like all the time, which that's Vince's heels, right? Like, no other promoter, they would just put Demolition over clean, right? Because they were so fucking intimidating. Vince is like, you got to cheat though. And they're like, yeah, but we're fucking bigger than all of your tag teams and we're monsters. And Vince is like,
doesn't matter.
You need to use Fuji's cane. I don't care. Like, and that's always Vince. Every fucking match I would watch them in versus the Killer Bees. They could beat the Killer Bees in 2 seconds. But like, and the cane, and we got him. Like, and it was like every match. Young Stallions, and the cane, and we got him. Like, Strike Force, and the cane, and we got him.
Building heel heat, right?
Yeah, and that told a great story later when Fuji broke off from them, and they overcame Fuji's tag teams after that. That was when they went face. That was a great story.
They were the original double turn, but we always talk about Austin and Brett, whatever. But the Powers of Pain and Demolition were the original double turn. Survivor Series, 1988. Fuji fucking betrayed Demolition and pulled the rope down with his cane, and Smash went over the top rope and got counted out, and Axe confronted him, and then they body slam Fuji. They leave, and then Powers of Pain come over and dust him off. They get him up and they dust him off, and then which by the way, I'm glad it didn't work, and I'm glad Brett and Austin did work, because what a dumb move. You're Mr. Fuji. You manage the tag team champions, but you dump the champions for the Powers of Pain. I'm like, wait a minute. If you were in a title match and then you cost Demolition the titles and you're like, now I'm with them, that makes total sense. But in a Survivor Series match, he's like, yeah, I'm just going to turn against Demolition. I'm like, that makes no sense. Like, it was really the dumbest double turn I've ever seen in my life.
True.
Like, why would you
lower checks? I want more risk.
Why would you dump the world champions for a team that has not won the titles yet? So, but I mean, it's legendary. People talk about that. And to both of your points, you said it in separate times, the crowd crowd immediately like sided with Demolition. They're like, yeah, these guys are fucking awesome. Like, we've been waiting for them to be faces. Thank you. Like, and so Demolition went on this amazing their face run, you know, after that, defending the tag titles against Mr. Fuji and the Powers of Pain at WrestleMania 5. And one of my personal favorite moments a year later, WrestleMania 6, winning the tag titles for the third time against Andre and Haku to one of the biggest pops I've ever heard. Like, just one of the greatest, like, that Canadian crowd was like, every one of them, all 68,000 was like, we fucking love Demolition. And we said it before, that to me, like, finalized them. I'm like, I mean, they're great. Like, you know, when I saw that, I was like, so Demolition proved that they don't need the Road Warriors. They didn't ever need the Road Warriors. It was awesome. But
heated over trying to free the Giant. Can he make it in time? Look at Andre. He's tied up. He can't get there. There it is. Over for the cover. It's over. New tag team champions. The winners of this match and new World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions.
it was awesome. But fill in the middle, guys. You know, talk to me about the Brainbusters.
The colossal connection, which was really just Haku and a big old statue, was a really cool.
Which was really
look for
Haku
a tag
and a thank you. That's all it was. Is Vince is like, I'm gonna put the tag. Thanks, Andre, for everything. Like, you know, I'm gonna put the tag.
Thanks, buddy. But Haku rode that for a long time. Wasn't it like 10 months or something like that? Like, it was a long time they held those titles.
No, they only held them for like a couple of months, but they were tagged. But they only they only held the belt for like 2 months.
Maybe they were a tag team longer. It felt
yeah,
like
they flirted with them for longer. The reason why you remember that, or you think you remember that, is because I remember watching that Superstars when they took them on. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. They're going to defend the titles against Haku and Andre. That's cool. And then Andre just beat the shit out of them. Like, they did the whole thing where they were chasing Axe around and they created confusion. And Andre beat the shit out of both of them and then headbutted Smash. It might have been Axe, but he headbutted one of them down and dropped an elbow on them. Andre did, and just laid on them and laughed as the ref hit 3. And I was like, did we just see Andre job Demolition out? Like, that's exactly what happened. Like, It was kind of awesome. You're like, oh shit, like, that's crazy. And then they beat him at WrestleMania 6, and like, it was amazing. It was an amazing pop.
I enjoyed the Colossal Connection just on appearance and look. It was like a cool tag team. It was it was terrible, but you know.
Hey man,
but there was lots of the powers of pain in that era too. Looked great.
I don't know if there's been another wrestler in history that we've looked the other way on work rate than Andre the Giant. Like, there's been so many times where I'm like, God, he looks so fucking bad, but I'm like, Andre's fucking badass. Like, yeah, he did.
He's a fucking giant, bro. He's a giant. Come on, eating turkey butts all day. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and honestly, Demolition was kind of like a blink and you missed it. They were really only on top and around for 3 years, like 87 through 90, and then after that was like when Crush and Bill Eadie kind of was fading away, kind of thing. But it was, I mean, they held the belts for a long period in there. They had matches with everybody. Like, who knows what if Bill Eadie would have been healthier and they could have stayed together into the early 90s, what they could have been. But I'm glad we had them for those 3, and they strapped the rocket and never looked back.
They beat Strikeforce at WrestleMania 4, and that's when they got their first title, and then they turned face, and then they would lose to the Brainbusters in a 2 out of 3 fall match in '89. With the help of Andre, coincidentally. And then they would beat the Brainbusters back, and then they would lose the Colossal, and then finally beat Colossal back for their 3rd championship. And they would, to Craig's point, they brought Crush on to turn heel again. So it was like the Freebird rules kind of, mainly because Bill Eadie had bad health like at that time. And then they lost to the Hart Foundation at SummerSlam 90 in a great 2 out of 3 falls match. To Craig's point, it was really just a 3-year run. But honestly, like, to me, that was like my entire childhood. If you ask me to name a tag team right on the top of your head when you were kids, Demolition. Like, that's just what like I remember.
And that tag team kind of fountain there that they had was pretty incredible. They had a lot of tag team talent in those days. And on top of that is really special.
They beat. I was just talking about to become champions. They would beat like the Killer Bees, the Young Stallions on house shows, and kind of build their name.
Yeah.
And then after that, they would defend. They would defend the titles against the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, the Bushwhackers. Like they beat everybody. Like Demolition.
Rougeaus were there, right?
Rougeaus were there. Yeah, Rougeaus.
They beat the Rockers.
They beat the Rockers. Yeah, they had they
Strike Force early on.
Yeah.
Fucking Power.
Strike
Power and
Force.
Glory probably.
Power and Glory.
Powers of Pain. They had a big
tag
feud with Powers of Pain as well. And then they feuded with
Yeah.
Demolition.
Those guys-
They feuded with the Road Warriors at the end.
They did. Yeah, they did finally touch at the end. So you gotta put that as and then the last thing that it's not the funnest thing to say, but when we talk about Edie, with failing health, he's still here and Crush is not. It's
fucking weird.
Oh,
This
yeah.
world is weird. Like it's so weird. This world sometimes.
Like
I wonder-
he's here 30 years later, and Crush passed away.
So
young,
they're probably going to mention him or whatever.
That's what I was gonna-
I
I was
think
just gonna ask
he
that.
gets a bad rap. Like I think that it was a very bold move for them to do. Vince wanted to go with the Hart Foundation in '90. And the Hart Foundation deserved it, but at the same time, Vince kind of saw, I think that Demolition sort of run their course. I don't know why he thought that.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's right. Well, I'll tell you why he signed LOD. That's why. He finally got his Legion of Doom. I didn't say this at the beginning, but the reason why he created Demolition was because he tried to sign LOD in '87, and they said no, we're going to stay with Crockett.
Nope.
So Vince is like, cool, I'll make my own LOD. And he was in the business of doing that, Vince was at the time. And Demolition just happened to work out in the best way possible. And then
he made stars, bro.
Yeah, when he
made
finally
stars.
got LOD, he's like, I'm going to phase out Demolition. He brought Crush in because Axe's health wasn't so great. And kind of weird. And I do think Crush deserves a little bit of credit. I always rip on his work rate a little bit and all that stuff, and he's a little sloppy and all that. But, really, when you look back on it, it was kind of a cool thing that they did to turn them heel. It was very abrupt. We just saw that massive pop at WrestleMania 6, and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later on syndicated TV, I'm like, is there 3 of them? What the fuck are we doing? And they sort of, did it weird. They didn't really introduce it, right. All just so they could lose to the Hart Foundation in the summer of '90 because Road Warriors helped them. So it's it's really weird. It's like Vince sort of he was a snake that bit his own tail. He's like, oh yeah, I made Demolition. Look what I could do. I told you I'm a genius. I told you. Oh, I signed who? They're gonna come. LOD. Fuck off, Demolition. Fuck off. It's really weird. And then they realized Hawk was a drug addict and they sabotaged their own career. And Vince is like, can we get Demolition back? There's no way that in '92, there's no way that Vince wasn't like, is Billy D still mad at me or is he gonna?
But LOD 2000, that was
Oh no!
Thank God there wasn't
Oh,
a Demolition
no.
2000. Thank God. But yeah.
Now, tag team combination that reigns supreme among the World Wrestling Federation, the champion. What is that? Looks like 1, 2, 3. What is going on? There are 3 members of Demolition. Is this the so-called surprise you alluded to earlier, Jesse? Well, there you see Axe, there you see Smash, and guess who the third one is? Have no idea. What do you know about it? Crush. Crush, Axe, Smash, and Crush.
But yeah, no, I'm glad. I just wanted to revisit their legacy or whatever. I'm so glad they're going in the Hall of Fame. The child in me is super, super happy, but they deserve it. And to Craig's point, 3 years is not a lot of time. They moved a lot of earth in 3 years. They made a lot of wrestling history. We all remember them. If you asked anybody that remembers them, how long did Demolition reign for? Most people would be 5 years, 10 years. It's
I thought it was more than 3.
Yeah, we would
I
think
thought
that.
it was definitely
it was
more
like
than
3.
Yeah.
It was 3. It's crazy.
Yeah, but even then, to your point, they might run it for 3, but they stick around for 5, and they're still in your mind, no, they're still over. They're still over. It's weird how that works, but yeah, I mean, the legend of it will always put more time on than you
Yeah, I know
than we
you
initially
That's good.
thought. So
Yeah.
it's It's good stuff. I'm glad they're going in.
I'm happy. It's awesome. It's gonna be really cool. Like
this is
it's
the
so
first
funny,
Hall
like,
of Fame.
I know
I've
Stephanie and
been
AJ are
remotely
going in.
excited
I'm happy about AJ. Stephanie, I don't care. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win the bet, Dave. But yeah, like Demolition.
Gracias.
That's going to be my main event for sure. Like, it's Demolition, like, going in. I'm going to be smiling the entire time. And I don't know. They won't reveal on their podcast who's going to induct them, but they have chosen a person. Triple H just came to them and said, give me some names, and I'll tell you who's available and who, like, can be there for you. So, who knows? I don't know. Fuji's passed away. I don't know if Fuji would have been a great... He's had a hard time, like, speaking anyway. But
It's going to be Paul Roma. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who at this point would bring them in. I mean, both Legion of Doom are passed away.
They passed, right?
I'd say Bret Hart, but probably not on
I would
good
say
terms
Bret
with Triple
would be a
H.
good choice.
Yeah, Bret. Yeah, Bret might be. I can't think of anybody else that would do it.
You're forcing Bret to say nice things about people, though. He might not want to do that.
I hate this place.
Paul Ellering or something like. No one would know that. I don't know. Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see who does it. It's probably going to be someone that will disappoint us, but
well, it'll be special to them, but we won't know them is all. Yeah, it'll be someone special in their life, and they're like, who the fuck's this guy? You know?
that would be actually. Go ahead,
Are they both from Minnesota? I know Barry Darso is, but I don't know.
I don't know if Bill
Eadie
Eadie is. I don't know. I don't think so. To be fair, I don't think so because he was the Masked Superstar before Barry Darso even started his career. I believe. Like Bill Eadie was around for a while before that.
Pennsylvania.
There we go.
Well,
Aw.
Bill Eadie was also in No Holds Barred. Thank you. Thank you very much.
oh,
He was?
Yeah. In the very beginning, they open up
he
the
played
movie
Zeus.
to rip Hulk Hogan defending his title against Axe, who was not Axe
That's
in the movie.
actually
Yeah.
That's actually Bill Eadie.
Yeah, it's Bill Eadie.
Well, now I'm going to go back and watch that opening scene.
And for
look at
some
this
reason,
guy.
before
I
you sign
thought
off,
you
Dave, for
said-
some reason on the first ever Royal Rumble, they were drawing numbers. Remember back when they had the bingo thing and they turned it? And there was
Yes.
some announcer that we never had seen before that they hired just to do the Royal Rumble. I don't know why. And Axe comes in there and pushes him out of the way. He's all, get out of the way, you geek. And like he goes in and draws his own number. And I belly laugh like every time I see that.
I love
He's all,
it.
stop it, you geek. And he
Perfect.
shoves his arm in there, his big ol' arm.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. This is the first Hall of Fame I've been excited about in a few years. So
It's awesome. Yeah, the whole lineup's
Can't
great.
wait. Can't wait to see it. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And for video, check us out on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. And please give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019. For Just Craig and myself, this is the O.W.P signing off. Have a good one.